Alright, well today I'm going to be working on building a heater box for the rear heater for the school bus. I decided I'm going to keep it. Got it over here. And I haven't really seen what other people do with these, if they keep them, but I'm going to keep it. It's got these little hooks, and it used to hang on the bottom of the bus seat. So what I'm going to do is build a little box where I can mount that underneath, and it's going to go over here somewhere. So here's my plan. These are the little clips, and they're going to hold over the side of this piece of wood. It's going to be basically a little box with legs. I might add a little piece down here, support it, and I'm going to make it out of this piece of alder from when I was doing some chairs back then. Yep, it's a piece of wood, buddy. It's going to be a nice wood. So, alright, well, here we go with part 2. This is, I'm going to be ripping down this board here. I'll show you what I've got. Actually says sofa arm template. This is for when I was building furniture for someone. It's a leftover piece of alder, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's hemlock. I think it's alder. It's a nice light wood, but durable. So it's about the length I need for the heater. So I just measured it across. It's a 5-inch piece, which say gives me about 1 1/4 inch if I were to do 4 pieces, so I can make my box. So I'll just make it about 1 1/8 inch to accommodate for any loss from the saw blade, and I'll see what I can do with this here. Lower the blade. Always use a push stick, and always wear goggles. Just because I didn't use a stick doesn't mean you shouldn't. That's a very cocky thing to say. As a carpenter, I've done a lot of these. That's why I flipped it at the end. But I hate using power tools on camera without making that disclaimer. So now we're going to move on over here to the chop saw. Oh, just in time too. I got my table saw set up right before it rained. So here we go. I better get that puppy inside. Alright, well now we have the 4 pieces for the top frame. This is where the heater's going to hook on. And these are the inner pieces. Before I put this together, I went in and I tested these to make sure they fit. Measured between them. Always measure twice, cut once. So what I like to do is get the box about to where it's built and kind of have a tight quarters here. It's pouring rain now, and so I can't really open up and put my table up out there. I like to get it to where it looks about like the box I want. Then think about it, make sure it's actually going to work. And now considering it, I might not be able to get it on like this. See, this is why the reason being is because of the way that the hoses are. So I'm going to have to go double check and make sure. Well, I'm really glad I went back in the bus and checked, because as it turns out, if I were to put this and this on all nice like I wanted, then I wouldn't be able to get it on the heater, because the heater brackets hang on this, but there's no way to get this up from the bottom to where the heater hangs on it because of the hoses that come off, unless I wanted to drain 5 gallons of coolant and re-hook it up. So no thank you. So what I'm going to do here is I've got some tight bond. I glued these edges. I put this one in here just as a support to keep it from collapsing on itself. And a few moments ago I was going to try and use this 16 gauge brad nailer with 2-inch pins in it, and I know that that would be horrible and I'd look like an idiot because they just blow right out the side. Luckily I found my 16 gauge bit nailer, so I'm going to go ahead and put a couple pins in here. And there's a possibility in the end I might want to come back and add some screws to it. I just don't know, you know? Uh-oh, which end was it? Here we go. Be liberal with the glue, man. I mean, you don't need that much because it squeezes out like crazy, but that's the one thing is you get overzealous and it just squeezes right out of there. So once I get these on, I can take it back in the bus and finish assembling it in the bus while hooked up to the actual heater. It's going to make it a little awkward to install, but that's okay. So there we go. Now we have a start. Now you kind of see the problem I had. I've got this up on the table. The hoses are back there. I wouldn't be able to get this over here, nor slip it up from the other side. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slide this through here like so. Since I don't know how big I'm going to have the legs yet, or how deep it's going to be, really I'm just building this first box. So, get my glue. Too many trips in and out of the bus, I tell you. And get my tight bond on here. Always the tricky part, isn't it? Getting things to stay where you want them. So, well, as it turns out, I was able to slip it on. I just wasn't thinking about whether it would slide down underneath these tabs. And it does. So, it's just one of those things you learn, you know? You never know until you actually try it. Which is really good, because that means as long as I can clear these hoses back here, I should be able to just slip it right in and lock it in place. That's what I'm hoping. Well, we're going to have to build the legs and see what we end up. Okay, well now I've ripped down some of these extra pieces, and like I said, this is from furniture, so this was originally like an arm for a sofa, so I just cut off the knob and sofa number 2. And these are all about the same thicknesses. This is 5/4 stock, so it's an inch thick. And so these are going to be used as the legs here. Actually at this thickness, I don't know about that one, that's just extra. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably mount these legs on the end here. That way they don't interfere with the clips and they stick out far enough, and it helps to tie this piece into this piece. That's really important. Because you can make something, you know, pretty damn sturdy by overlapping. And I also ripped one piece down into all these several louvers a moment ago. So I'm going to sand these down, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to utilize them yet. What I might do is make some kind of a decorative crosshatch type look to kind of make the box look fancy, but really these aren't functional, but they might help structurally, and I'm not that concerned about anything, but you know, it's a wood project and I want it to look nice. Well, now it looks like it's going to fit, so after gauging how this is going to work, it can slip over like this and then lock in. So I think what I'm going to do now is I have 4 of these legs cut. I thought about doing something fancy maybe, but you know, it's a heater box, so I'm not going to go here and router the legs or anything. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this baby up. Make sure that glue's all matched around. Good stuff. You know, whenever you're using glue, it pays to have a wet rag on hand, but, you know, I don't. Alright, so there's one leg. Sturdy and well done. The only problem is that I forgot to turn my air compressor back on, but so I'm going to go do that right now. Well, got the box built, but of course these are still a little bit loose and drying with the glue. I could have glued them all straight, but I don't really have the patience to sit and wait for them to dry, so what I did is I'm just measuring across the distances, putting in a lower piece just right at the bottom, and this piece will help to stabilize it, but once again, I'll show you, when you get to the third side, it doesn't work any longer. So, what I've got to do is make sure that these are all properly aligned, because it's really easy to kind of get off and maybe put a nail or two through your finger. Nah, I don't want to do that. Alright, so it might help if I actually got the heater out of the way a little bit. This tabletop I'm going to reuse for the kitchen here, so I don't want to ruin it. So just make sure everything lines up and everything's relatively straight. The one funny thing about this is, which I'll show you in a minute, is when it slips over, if I were to do all 4 sides like this, I would be disappointed because
and this is no place for a girl like you. Or maybe I'm wrong, and this is just what you want. I'm happy for us either way.
Even and consistent. Hopefully this isn't too deep. Oh, yeah, a little bit. These are 1¼ nails. That was all I could find today. So maybe if I angle this, I can keep them from blowing through there on the other side. Oh, the joys. Alright, worked great. Alright, now let's flip this puppy around. Let's see what I can do here. Down the loneliest roads. Alright, here we go. See how the other side looks. And this will make a night and day difference, I'll tell you, in the way that these things hold up. I was going to turn the camera off, just give you kind of a rundown, but I thought I'll just keep it on until I finish this so you can kind of see the final product with me and see what we end up with, huh? Oh, I see the problem here. Yeah, that one's quite flexible. And here we go. I think what I'm going to have to do is pop off this clamp, which is interfering. Now this little leg is more flexible here, and I can play around with it. Alright, only one small nail came through on the other side, and that was just because I wasn't being careful enough. There we have it. The beginnings of a box. And I'll probably have louvers all the way up too. So what I'm hoping is, now that that's built, that I'll be able to just say, well, okay, here's the heater. So I'm just going to slide this thing down on here, just like so. Lift this up, latch it on. There you go, baby. Not remotely stable enough, but it works. And that's what I was going for. So now when I finish it up, I'll probably use some more of these lath strips. Maybe one across here, a few more for stability around here and there, and yeah, I'm stoked. I think it'll look good. So we'll see what happens next. So for the back piece, where when the heater slips in, the part that has to be removed, I was going to just nail it on in place, and I decided, well, if I decide to remove the heater later, then, you know, maybe to do some maintenance, whatever it might be, I don't want to have to tear this whole thing apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm using a countersink bit with a 1/16 inch drill bit on it, and I'm just going to drop it down there. And a countersink bit, if you don't know, just allows you to, leaves a little divot hole there, so when you drop a screw in, it will, not only will it not crack out the wood, but it won't damage your, or leave a head sticking out, sorry. Yeah, my brain's the butt. Okay, see? That was a mistake after all, because I realized the hoses weren't going out the other side now. So, you see why these things are such a pain in the butt. You never know what you're up against. So, should I leave that side off? Nah. I guess that's what it is now. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish off the sides and make it a little cleaner, and we'll see what we got. Cool beans. Thanks for coming along. Hope you learned something. I know I did. I'm probably going to upload and put the mistakes in the editing too, because it's all part of the process. Well, there she is, just chilling there. I had to rewire it because I forgot I'd cut those wires thinking that I was going to remove it, but I decided to keep it. So that's good enough for now, and I'll probably box that in somehow, and I don't want to over decorate it since it'll be buried. I tried to turn it on to run it, test it out, but yeah, battery's dead on the van, on the bus, so I guess that's just how it is. Looks like it's already ready to sleep in, huh? So that's building the box, and that's my personal experience with it, so maybe you took something away from it. Very few people will benefit from that particular little tidbit there, but it's there for anyone who does.